All right, let's jump right into this explainer by looking at a weekend mistake that, well, honestly, almost every single one of us has made at least once. You know the feeling, right? It's that exact moment where a little innocent browsing suddenly turns into a surprisingly expensive afternoon, and you're just left sitting there wondering where on earth your money went. In this explainer, we're going to deeply analyze the exact hidden science behind why this happens to us, and way more importantly, how you can actually stop it for good.
Let me tell you a quick story about a Saturday afternoon that ended up costing a woman named Sari 1.4 million rupiah. So Sari had just survived a really stressful week at work. When Saturday finally rolled around, she opened the Shopee app. She promised herself she was just going to browse, a completely harmless way to decompress and turn her brain off for a bit. But within just 40 minutes of scrolling, her cart was entirely full and her bank account was significantly lighter.
So, what did she actually get during that quick little scrolling session? Well, Sari bought a new skincare set that she definitely didn't need, a super fancy phone stand that cost 180,000 rupiah, two Tokopedia vouchers she'd probably completely forget to use, and a blouse in a color she literally already had hanging in her closet. But here's the really telling part. When those packages finally started arriving over the next 3 days, opening every single one felt kind of disappointing. Actually holding the items felt significantly less exciting than that split-second rush of clicking the buy button. Now, here's the secret. Sari isn't irresponsible, and she definitely isn't weak-willed. Her brain was just doing exactly what billions of rupiah in e-commerce marketing research trained it to do.
Part 1. The biology of buying.
Because honestly, the systems we interact with every single day, they're perfectly engineered to bypass our logic entirely. The core neuroscience at play here is just absolutely fascinating. You see, the dopamine hit, that amazing rush of good feeling and excitement, doesn't actually come from having the thing. It comes from wanting it. Research consistently shows that the anticipation of a reward actually triggers a much stronger dopamine response than receiving the reward itself. The endless scroll, adding items to your cart, hitting checkout, each step gives you a tiny micro hit of dopamine. By the time the delivery driver actually hands you the package, the excitement is already fading, and your brain is already looking around for the next shiny thing to want. Like, I don't know, maybe a third duplicate blouse.
Part 2. 4 e-commerce tricks.
So remember, this is absolutely not a personal failure on your part, it's just basic human biology. And these e-commerce platforms deliberately exploit this biology using 4 highly researched specific tricks. Trick number 1, manufactured scarcity. You know exactly what this looks like. You see only 2 left in stock, or a bright flashing red timer counting down, 001432. The reality is these timers and low stock warnings are, a lot of the time, completely artificial. Their sole purpose is to create a panic response in your brain. It's a sudden, intense fear that you're going to miss out, and that fear completely short-circuits your slow-thinking, rational brain, pushing you into immediate action before you even have a second to reconsider. Then we have trick number 2, which is price anchoring. Okay, imagine you see a product with a price tag of 500,000 rupiah, but it's crossed out, and there's a bold, shiny new price of 249,000 rupiah right next to it. Your brain immediately registers this as a massive win. You feel like, wow, I just magically saved 251,000 rupiah. But let's be real here. You didn't save anything. You just spent 249,000 rupiah on an item you probably wouldn't have even looked twice at if that fake original price anchor wasn't there, tricking you into feeling like some savvy deal hunter.
Trick number 3 is friction removal. Think about all those saved payment cards, the one-click purchasing buttons, the magical skip the confirmation screens. Every single tiny little barrier that gets removed between you and finalizing a purchase is a very deliberate choice. Why? Well, because if you actually have to pause, stand up, go find your wallet, pull out your card, and manually type in a 16-digit number, you might actually stop and think for a second. And if you think, you might not buy. So they just completely remove the pause. And trick number 4 is emotional targeting. Have you ever noticed that you tend to shop way more when you're feeling bored, or stressed out, lonely, or just kind of sad? Yeah, that's not a coincidence. Algorithms are incredibly smart nowadays, and these platforms will push notifications and highly personalized ads to you right at the exact moment you are most likely seeking comfort. Clicking buy makes it feel like you're taking action to fix your mood. It's a quick, short-term emotional fix that sadly creates a very real long-term financial problem. Part 3, the true hidden cost. Now, we often justify impulse buying because, hey, 120,000 rupiah blouse here or an 85,000 rupiah phone case there, it feels completely harmless in the moment, right? But the thing is, impulse buying is never just about that one individual purchase. Let's look at the frankly terrifying real math of this habit. Let's say you make just 4 small impulse purchases a week, averaging about 80,000 rupiah each. Maybe that's a quick iced coffee delivery or a cheap t-shirt on sale. That adds up to 320,000 rupiah a week. Multiply that out, and suddenly you're at 1,280,000 rupiah every single month. Fast forward a year, and that seemingly harmless little habit has compounded dramatically. So, the crucial point we need to look at is this staggering final number. Over 15.3 million rupiah drained right out of your bank account over a single year. And you know what the wildest part is? This massive financial drain comes entirely from random, tiny purchases that you'll barely even remember making a few weeks later. I really want you to think about what that money actually represents. That 15.36 million rupiah, that could have been a brand new high-end laptop. In a lot of Indonesian cities, that is literally 6 full months of rent completely paid for. It could be that solid emergency fund that ensures you never ever have to resort to one of those predatory pinjol loans when something goes wrong. Or it could be the seed money for real investments that start building actual long-term wealth for your future. The small size of these daily purchases is exactly the camouflage that hides their massive, life-changing cost. Part 4. 6 Rules to Stop. So, the big question, how do we actually fight back? Well, we don't do it with vague goals like I'll try to spend less. We do it with these 6 practical, science-backed behavioral weapons that are designed to directly counter the exact marketing tricks we just exposed. We've got the 24-hour rule, converting price to hours, deleting saved cards, the wish list method, the emotion check, and establishing a guilt-free fun budget. Let's break down exactly how you can use each of these to rewire your shopping habits. Let's kick things off with Rule 2, converting price to hours of your life. Let's do a little math. If your take-home pay is 4 million rupiah per month and you're working 22 days for 8 hours a day, your time is worth roughly 22,700 rupiah an hour. So when you look at an impulse buy that costs 300,000 rupiah, don't just look at the money. Realize that it costs you 13 hours of your working life. Suddenly, clicking buy on something you don't even really need feels like a terrible trade, doesn't it? Next up, let's group Rule 1 and Rule 4 together, the 24-hour rule and the wish list method. Here's the deal. Before buying anything unplanned, you either wait 24 hours or you throw it in a cart and just leave it there for 7 days. Why? Because remember, this isn't about having superhuman willpower. It's about waiting out a chemical reaction in your brain. Neuroscience shows us that most impulse desires actually disappear completely within 24 to 48 hours. By forcing a time delay, you effectively kill that false dopamine desire. If you still genuinely want it a week later, sure, go ahead and buy it, but mostly, you won't. Now, Rule 3 might just be the most powerful physical step you can take today. Delete your saved payment cards. I know, it's super convenient, but that is exactly the trap. Research on human decision-making proves that adding just 30 seconds of physical friction, literally forcing yourself to get up off the couch, find your wallet, pull out the card, and manually type in those numbers, completely disrupts the impulse. It gives your slow, rational brain exactly enough time to catch up to your fast, emotional brain and say, wait a second, we don't actually need this. Moving on to Rule 5, which is the emotion check. Whenever you feel that sudden, urgent urge to buy something unplanned, you absolutely must stop and ask yourself this vital question. Am I feeling bored, stressed, sad, or lonely right now? If the answer is yes, just close the app. Buying a new phone stand is not going to cure your boredom or fix a bad day at work. Buying when you're emotional is never actually about the product. It's about the feeling. So find a better solution for that feeling. Go for a walk outside, call a friend, or just close your eyes and rest for 10 minutes. I promise you the urge to spend will pass. And Rule 6 is all about bringing balance. Allocate a guilt-free fun budget. This is incredibly important, guys, because if you have zero flexibility, strict financial diets almost always fail. You'll hold out for a while, but eventually you'll snap and go on a huge spending binge. Instead, set aside a small fixed amount, let's say 200,000 to 300,000 rupiah a month, that you can spend on absolutely anything with zero guilt. It satisfies that natural human urge intentionally, without destroying your big financial goals. And the rule is, when it's gone, it's gone. Part 5. Building your freedom fund. Okay, so what do you actually do with all this money you're suddenly not spending? You need to build a freedom fund. Because let's be honest, if you just leave that extra cash sitting in your regular checking account, it's just going to quietly disappear into other random daily expenses, and you'll have absolutely nothing to show for all your discipline. So the rule is simple. The exact moment you resist an impulse purchase, you immediately move that money, or even just half of it, into a separate, visible savings goal. Use a totally different bank account or even a dedicated physical cash envelope. Name it something powerful, like Freedom Fund. Watching that specific pile of money grow every single time you say no to a shopping cart shifts your psychology entirely. You're no longer depriving yourself. You are actively choosing something much, much better.
Bringing this all back to Sari from the beginning of our explainer, she really didn't need to feel ashamed of that shopping spree. She just needed better information. And now you have it too. So I want to challenge you to start with just one rule today. Try the 24-hour rule. Every single time you feel the urge, just close the app and wait. That single habit practiced consistently will honestly save you more money this year than almost any side hustle you could start. Because ultimately, that is green wealth. Spending your money like it really matters. Because it absolutely does. So I'll leave you with this. The next time you find yourself endlessly scrolling on a lazy Saturday afternoon, ask yourself, are you actually buying a product, or are you just renting a 5-minute hit of dopamine?